Hola a todos, ¿qué tal? How are you? In this video, we're going to do something different. We're going to see the past tenses in Spanish in action. And we're going to do it with the fairy tale, a well-known fairy tale, The Little Red Riding Hood. If you've watched my previous videos on the past tenses, then you know the theory. I'll leave the link in the description in case you haven't seen them. But theory alone won't be enough. You need to practice and you need to see it in action. So that's the purpose of this video. We're going to put everything in context so you can see how these verbs actually work, how they are used. I'll break down the sentences, some sentences in the story of the Little Red Riding Hood, and I'll explain why each tense is used in the specific sentence. That way you can spot the pattern and you can start using it yourself. And there's a little surprise. I'm not just going to use the two main past tenses, the pretérito and the imperfecto. I'm adding a third one. Why? Why not? This one, you already know it in English, so it's gonna be really easy, and the more the merrier. This video comes with a PDF with notes from this lesson, so you can review the explanations as many times as you want. You just have to go to the description and download it. And if you're new here, I invite you to subscribe. I post a new lesson every week. And if you want exclusive bi-weekly lessons, subscribe to my newsletter so you can receive them in your inbox. All right, let's get started. Okay, so to understand the past tenses in Spanish, you first need to understand how we see or how we think about the past in Spanish. We have two ways of looking at past events. One would be a specific timeline, is where events happen at exact moments in time. Think of it as a timeline with pins. You can put a pin of something that happened. This is where we use pretérito. So everything that can fall here on the timeline is the pretérito. Comí, bebí, corrí. This is the tense that moves the story forward. That's why we have a line here. It's the action, the main event, the plot of the story. And then we have a gray area here, where things exist but without a timestamp. These are details, descriptions, context, background stories. Things that don't push the story forward, but set the scene. So here is where the scene is set. That's where we use the imperfecto. Okay, so let's start with the story. En una casita del bosque vivía una niña que siempre usaba una capuchita de color rojo. Por eso le decían Caperucita Roja. So with this sentence, what I'm doing is I'm giving you context. I'm still not in the story. I'm still not saying things that happen. I'm just giving you context. She lived in a forest and she always used riding like a hood. And they called her Caperucita Roja. It's not telling us exactly when it happened because it's not the point yet. It's not that we don't know when things happen, it's that just we don't care for whatever reason. That's not what we came here to say. We're just preparing the story. Okay, so now let's add the action. Un día, mientras Caperucita jugaba, su mamá llamó y le contó que su abuelita estaba enferma. ¿Por qué no le llevas pastel, frutas y miel? So here Caperucita's mom calls her while she's playing at a, context. We see her playing around. It's not something that happened. She was just playing. And her mom calls her and tells her that the grandma is sick. Grandma is sick in this gray area. We're not saying exactly when, but in their world, it's just happening that the grandma is sick. Okay, but we cannot put it into here, into the line. Something specific that happened is that the mom called Caperucita, well, not called, but said Caperucita, and then told her. And that's boom, boom, happened and moves the story forward. That's what we want to say. You see the difference? It's like the context versus the action, what happened. Let's go a step further. If you know the story, you know what happened in between these two scenes. If not, I'll leave the link to the story in Spanish in the description so you can read it. Let's see what happened here. Cuando por fin llegó, llamó a la puerta ¿Eres Caperucita? Pasa, hijita, le contestó su abuelita con una voz muy rara. El lobo había tomado un atajo, había encerrado a la abuelita en el armario y se había disfrazado como ella. So basically here we have more action. We see that Caperucita arrived at a specific point. She called, she knocked at the door, and the grandma said, "Pasa." And that's on the timeline. That's something that happened. Not decoration, not in the gray area, but it happened. Now, the green verbs, or the verbs that are in green, había tomado, había encerrado, se había disfrazado. These are things that happened even before Caperucita arrived to the house and knocked, and the grandma answered. So all this happened before the main action. So we see that the wolf had taken a shortcut on the way, and he had locked the grandma, and he had dressed up as her, as the grandma. And then Caperucita arrived, knocked, and the grandma said, "Pasa." This is how it works. This tense just helps us place things before the main event, just like in English. Remember that this comes with a PDF, which is this PDF with more explanations of everything that I'm saying right now. You can download it in the description. Okay, so let's recap. In the past, you have this gray area where things are in the background, things happening, but not specifically moving a story forward, just context, background. And so you say, Caperucita jugaba, la abuela estaba enferma, vivía en el bosque. All these things are just background. And then we have a timeline, a specific timeline where things are, boom, happening. Llamó, le contó. And then we have this other verb, the one I put in green, which is the one that you have in English for things that happen even before those things, which is the one that you have in English and is had taken a shortcut and had locked grandma, había tomado un atajo, había encerrado a la abuela, se había disfrazado. It always goes with había instead of had in English. So as you can see, learning the past tenses or any tense in Spanish, it's not about memorizing rules. It's about seeing the whole thing, seeing how they actually work in a story. Now, I'd really appreciate it if you told me in the comments if this video was useful and if you'd like more videos like these ones where I give you a story and I break it down. And as always, if you found this useful, give it a like and share it and spread the word. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.